They suddenly want 460 euros back. See, when you sell on eBay, you have to give your buyers the possibility to return your items. This is what it is. This is if you sell as a business seller. But some people tend to want to argue that if you sell private, you have this freedom not to offer return services. Guys, I'm telling you, if somebody wants the item returned on eBay, there are 1,001 reasons under the book to send that item back. This is a functional PC that was sold to a buyer. I was already happy that everything has been delivered, sold, transaction completed, only for me to see a few days ago the buyer initiated a return because the item in this box, a complete PC, doesn't meet their need. It is what it is. You see, it can happen like this. Sometimes when it happens, it could be very, very annoying because the logical question I want to ask now is, how is it that this buyer didn't actually take a look at the description to realize that this item in the box right here doesn't meet their need? But the buyer didn't do that. He felt like, okay, I'm going to buy the item. I'm going to let the seller, pack it up, set the PC up, send it to me, and I'm going to say, please, I do not want this item because it doesn't meet my need. And the seller has to give me a free return shipping label, which was exactly what I did. Am I pissed off? No, because it's the cost of doing business. If you're not happy with that, you might want to rethink this kind of business model that entails you sending out products to buyers, and when the buyers are not happy with it, they can send it back to you. This is what I have taught, to myself. Long time ago, I want to give customers 1 day to be able to return my item, but I realized that the competition wasn't doing this. The competition was offering as much as 60 days, within which a buyer can actually go ahead and return whatever item they have bought. When I saw that, I felt, you see, we have to play the game exactly the way it's played. If you want to play it differently, I'm going to wish you good luck because we are in the days and age where the buyers pretty much have the longer end of the stick. If they say they are not happy with it, the platform on which you sell is going to force you one way or the other to return, the money that the buyer has spent on your shop. And there's just no way you can circumvent that because they have the platform. They are, free to decide whatever they want to do with it. You see, I have already settled this on my mind, and I do not care when somebody says, I want to return your item. The only thing I care about is that the item that's going to be sent back to me is going to be in a very functional condition, exactly the same way it was sent out. And so far, so good. I see that something kind of shakes within the box. I don't know what that is, but so far, so good. I do not see anything that kind of looks kind of funny because the box was properly taped. The item inside also, in kind of clean condition. I do not see anything that kind of annoys me because sometimes when you receive items like this, even without you opening the content, you are already very angry because either the box is broken, it's not well taped, the item is not well taped, and especially when you sell stuff like these are expensive items for 460 euros, that's a lot of money, and it's just going to be very annoying if the item is going to be returned back and something somewhere is kind of broken. But so far, so good. Like I said, everything still looks in a very, very clean condition. Taking a look at the back of the PC, I do not see anything that is kind of out of the ordinary. So far, so good. The edges are in very good shape. The box, the wireless LAN box that was put inside is still very much there, and the cable neatly folded. Guys, I have seen situations where people return your items, they do not include the cable that you sent to them, and that could be already very, very annoying. But so far, so good. I want to give this buyer a very, very good, pass mark. But then I still have to open the PC to see exactly what is inside, and hopefully I do not see things that makes me kind of angry. Yes, the RAM sticks very much in place. The SSD still very much in place. The HDD hard drive still very much in place. And the wireless LAN card still very much in place. Like I said, something was shaking, but I think it's kind of a screw or a cable that was just, shaking on the chassis of the PC. Guys, this is a very good return, even though it's kind of painful for you to have sold a beautiful PC like this, 460 euros, and then the buyer comes around to say, look, I do not like it for one fund reason or the other. And the reason that the buyer gave, if I remember correctly, he wanted a PC that had a graphic card installed. But this is something that one pretty much would have seen in the item description, that the PC didn't have a dedicated graphic card. What this PC has is just an onboard graphic card. If you want to do anything with this PC, you might pretty much, have to, order your own graphic card, slot it on it, and everything should normally be very, very easy. But for one reason or the other, the buyer felt like, look, I have to send back the PC because it is what it is. This PC has one of the best configurations you can ever think right now in the market in terms of processor, in terms of hard drive, in terms of the SSD HDD configuration, in terms of the RAM sticks. Beautiful PC. I'm going to go ahead, clean it up, and ensure that the PC is sold again. It is part of the package. See, if you want to make a lot of money online, be ready to deal with whatever comes with it. And if you sell on the platforms, returns are one thing that you have to be ready to deal with. There's just no way you can circumvent that. There is no way you can think of being successful selling on whatever marketplace it is, on eBay, on Amazon. Matter of fact, on Amazon is even worse, because if you take a look at YouTube, you're going to be seeing a lot of horror stories. People buying your stuff, using it, using it for whatever reason. They want to return it after using the item. So the original intention is not even to keep the item. They buy it and just to use it. It could be a necklace, it could be a handbag, a traveling bag. They use it for whatever purpose they want to use it for, and then they send it back to you, and Amazon is going to force you to accept that return, and you are going to be out of money. This is what it is. But then if you do not take this kind of risk, you are pretty much not going to make any profit. And this is not peculiar with reselling alone. You see, there are so many business models out there. A lot of them will always at some point entail that you have to lose money to make money. And if you are not okay with that, yes, you have to look for your own business model. I'm just kidding. Of course, it's kind of painful because when the returns like this happens, most times the buyer has paid the seller and the seller has channeled that money into a different transaction, perhaps buying more inventories, perhaps any other expenses this money has gone into servicing those expenses. All right, but then when the buyer now wants refund, the seller has to cover the money from nowhere. And sometimes it kind of happens when it happens at the end of the month, where expenses are just being paid, the rent is being paid, other costs, electricity, whatever cost it is. It happens at this point. It is always a very, very difficult time for the sellers. But this is one of the reasons why you have to have money on the side. Never you play so close to the margin, because if you keep spending every money that comes into your account, every money that eBay pays to you, or every money that you realize from your selling activities, if you keep spending them on whatever expenses you have at the end of the month, if a buyer makes recourse to refund an item, you're going to be stuck. You are pretty much going to be stuck, and this is where you see people run into difficulties. And sometimes they want to take a credit just to service a particular return, and this could be the worst decision that you can actually make. I kind of made this comment because of a video that I saw on YouTube. Somebody encouraging you to take a credit, especially this high interest rate credit, for you to be able to scale your business or do whatever you want to do with it. That will be the worst decision that you can actually make. So take out a high interest credit, or just because you want to make it online, you want to expand your business, you want to make your business big. That will be the worst decision that you can actually take. And if you are in the habit of taking expensive credit to service your business, think again, because I'm telling you for free, you are doing something wrong. That's not the kind of game that you want to be playing. That is a game that's reserved for people that pretty much have other income sources. Guys, here's what it is. I'm not so disappointed with this. Hopefully, I still can say this again. I'm going to go ahead and clean it up today. Hopefully, this offer is going to be live on my eBay shop tomorrow. Definitely, somebody is going to come around and do what they have to do, which is to buy it. And we are going to be back in business. Until I see you again in the next one, peace out.